Hello, this is Debbie, and this is Light Up Your Worth. I am so excited to have my guest with me, Leonie Dawson, and she is coming from beautiful Australia. And I am so excited to have her on. In case you don't know who she is, I'll read her official bio here. But she's an international best-selling author of the 2022 Goal Getter workbooks and planners. It used to be called the Shiny Year, as I've purchased them over years. And they've been used by over 450,000 people worldwide. She's a multi-passionate entrepreneur who's generated over $12 million in revenue while only working 10 hours a week. She has a whole list of awards that she's done because she is a trailblazer. But what's more important, she has two mermaids at home and this beautiful husband that she's been married to. And my favorite part of her description is that she's a creative hippie. She's an artist. She's an illustrator and a serial entrepreneur. She's also a sister, a mother, a lover, and a soul. And she has made her life beautiful. And she's created on her own. And it's one of the things I highly admire about her over all of the years that I've been following her. So welcome.
Oh, thanks, Debbie. It's a real joy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I just feel so, you have a really fancy bio that's out there. And I think and I love that. And she goes by the pronouns she and they for those who are listening. So I I started thinking about what would I talk to you about, because there's so many things that I love about it. One of them is your level of creativity. I just got the brand new one that no longer has the year, because I remember even ordering it from your website before it went to, Amazon and getting it up and having these big, beautiful posters. And I'm in the process of physically moving. My stuff might arrive sometime by the end of the year. And I have all my years back to I think it's 2015 was my first year with my first calendar and all of the coloring that you would do. And it was just so peaceful. So I'm really curious to learn about how did you find your way into, for everybody who hasn't seen your gorgeous creativity, how did you find your way into, I guess this really more of the shiny year is when I connected with you. And I think is that what broke you out into this huge, being able to create this gorgeous lifestyle that you have? And
Well, people always want to know what the silver bullet is, and there's never such a thing as a silver bullet. Yes, the workbooks have been hugely popular, but, teaching programs online has been absolutely massive for me as well. I started the goal workbooks it was in 2009, the last part of the year. I was pregnant with my first kid, and I knew that shit was about to hit the fan because I wanted to be pregnant, and I wanted this baby, and I'd wanted it for so long. And I also knew that my life was about to completely transform, and I knew I had to kind of have something to be able to hold on to when things got hard over the next year. And so I wanted to set some goals, and I didn't want to set it in, at the time, there was really nothing on the market. It was just anything that was very black and white, masculine, career orientated, where I wanted something that felt rainbow and much more femme, and something that expressed my creativity and my soul as well. So there wasn't anything on the market. So I made it for myself, and I thought, well, that's cool. I'll just put it online in case anybody else wants to use it as well. And it just started going gangbusters from there. And then each year I'd kept on, I'd expand the range and build on the workbook and grow it. So now there's a life workbook, there's a business workbook, there's a daily planner, there's, just combos of stuff. But it all started with this desire to create something magical for me that felt like joy in my own heart. And I love that, so many others out there kind of felt that same desire. I think part of it as well is once people have used it once, they tend to want to use it again the next year because they've seen such a big difference.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
It is. I think it's because you've been able to take that concept of where I'm drawing and I'm coloring, which is like bringing me into a different part of more of my subconscious. It's allowing my dreams to come through. And it felt like I had this little magical unicorn that I would carry around with me and want me to dream bigger. And that's one of the things I absolutely love about it, was that being able to like dream bigger and really bring that forward, and the signs, like it's going to be your best year. It was just so uplifting at a time when I was making some big shifts, and I thought, oh, like, is it possible to not work? I'm in the States, and is it possible after being a single mom, is it possible to have bigger dreams? And it gave me that hope to want to go after that entrepreneur and the life goals, and I'm just so grateful I found it through my friend Nancy. And I remember we would all post on it. We were all doing that whole thing on Facebook, of mine arrived, and it was
Oh, that is so sweet.
social geekness at its finest. But
That makes me so happy. I love that.
it was just so cool. And and so over the years I've watched you go from where we were all posting on social media and all the tags, and then like 4 years ago when you got off of social media, I think you said out loud what so many of us were thinking, like I just closed down my Facebook group like literally a week ago. I'd been saying it for months, and I thought, oh, this is just a suck of my energy. It's kind of come and gone, and now you led the way, and I love how you talk about it on your podcast every month. You talk about your life goals, what happened, and then you actually share all of your expenses and income, and you actually give us all hope that it's really possible, because you really took a big leap when you did that.
Yeah, it was, and I didn't intend to like fully leave social media. It felt like it was too scary to do that. So all I really committed to was, it's now like, I think 18 months ago, that I was like, I'll take 21 days off, just take 21 days. And even to do that, I felt so anxious. But as soon as I did, within the first few days, I could literally feel my brain healing, and I just had so much more time and like inner peace. And I felt like my creativity was kind of rewilding, and it was just so revolutionary to me that I was like, I can't go back to that, even though I run an online business. And, when I looked at my statistics as well, only 20% of my sales was coming through social media. And that was even when I used Facebook ads. The rest was coming through, it was like free traffic. It was people from my mailing list. It was my affiliates and my referrals, and just continuing to create free content and sharing it on my blog, search engine optimization, all that stuff. That was where the bulk of my people were coming from. And yet I was spending, 80% of my time, of my marketing time, on social media. And it also just felt like it totally ate up my whole day and my brain space, and I thought, fuck this, fuck no. So I thought I'd take 3 months off for my business. And, I told people this is an experiment. If it fucking fails, I'll be back and I'll tell you all about it.
Well, see, and I love that you were willing to do that and be true to yourself. One of the great things that you've continually incorporate in this is self-care. And how you talk about self-care, And what do you do? Here's like examples of self-care, but really it's what I've gathered. And I don't know if you've ever actually said it, but you stay true to yourself. You hold this line of like integrity boundaries with like these, I like to say I have like Archangel Michael with like a big linebacker of
Mm.
angels around, and you have held that, and what you were creating was for that for the rest of your life. So
Yeah.
that, as you spend time with your husband that you met when you're 18, how lucky were
Mm.
you?
Mm.
And and what was really important to your life. So how did and this is one of the questions that I think one of my my community had asked me was that, and this is from Kelly Wash actually. How did you set about finding your why? And has it changed at all?
Sure. For me, like when people are like, you always stay true to yourself, like I don't necessarily understand the question, because what the fuck else was I supposed to do? Like, it doesn't seem rational or logical to have given myself up or to pretend to be somebody else. I could have stayed in my Australian government career and, had to play the game of pretending to be somebody else on some level. I mean, I did a pretty shit job of that. Like, I was pretty wild in the public service, let me tell you. I used to like have hugging competitions where I hugged like 300 people in a day.
Oh,
On my floor, like just in my government building, and I would like massage people, have angel cards everywhere, and we'd have creative corners at work. So like I didn't manage to really look like a public servant, but there's always the idea that I could possibly have. But like I couldn't swear as much as I did in the public service. I couldn't tell all the stories that I wanted to tell because my boss was always going, Leonie, there's a line. And I was like, and I walk over the line. I dance over the line. I am far past the line. So I wasn't going to recreate like somebody attempting to hold me in in my business. Like, fuck no. If I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do something that feels gorgeous to me. Why the fuck wouldn't I? Because this is so much more fun to be all of myself. And this way as well, like I'm building myself a lifetime career. This is something I want to do for the rest of my life. In order to do that, I need to have as less friction as possible with me and just being able to be all of myself in my creative career. In terms of the big why was I really wanted to have a creative career. I didn't want to be a public servant for the rest of my life. At one point, I thought I wanted to be Prime Minister of Australia, and then I got to work in Parliament House and meet those people and go, you know what, that's actually not for me. I'm too sensitive. I'm too artistic. I'm too creative. Like, I don't have the fortitude that they have, because even if I don't like someone's politics, I know they're working fucking hard hours and that they get copping so much flack, and I'm not able to do that without it damaging an essential part of my soul. So my big why was really create a creative career, and I knew from the very get-go that I also knew that eventually I'd want children, and I didn't want to have outside care. I wanted to be very, very present. So even from the age of 21, I was starting to build a business that would be able to support me and my family once I had kids, and I didn't want to have to work that much. Like I was never going to be able to work full time in my business, basically.
and that is inspiring. I mean, to have the balls to be able to have the confidence, I know myself, I've struggled with that where you feel like, oh, I got this. And then push comes to shove and it's that damn comparison to what other people are doing. And, you know, how do you manage that? How do you manage to know, I know as your business grew, you had this huge, 25, I think, or so people that on your team. And I remember even looking at your job descriptions going, oh, I wonder if I could actually apply for that. And then I was like, oh, no, you're not, you don't know this, the 15 things that were listed there. It's like, I don't know, remember what software it was, like project management software. I didn't have a clue. And I thought, no. And so I didn't do it, but that's not the first time, right? That as,
Mm.
as I've gone through this and this feelings that come over, I know I'm not alone, in that struggle of you think you got it, and then it starts getting a little hard, and then we kind of don't need somebody else to beat us up.
Mm.
And how do you do that when you have moments? There's got to be moments where, even as badass as you are, that you've had that where you're like, fuck, how stop it.
Well, firstly, like I want to say, like I only have like 2 part-time staff now, and one of them is my online business manager.
Mhm.
And when I was looking for somebody, and she was my only assistant for years, I was like, okay, I need somebody who knows this software, this software has experience in this and this and this. And she said to me, I don't have any of that, but I'm a really quick learner, and I love learning new software programs, and I'll just learn all of that in my own time, to skill up and at no cost to you. And I'll train myself up to be able to do it. And that'll be really exciting for me anyway, because it means that I'm expanding my skill set. And I thought, fucking cool. I have no issues. Like I got no issues with that. So like, you don't have to like have everything like ticked on that list. Like telling someone like, oh, I'm super happy to like learn that. And especially when you make it at no cost to them, like I'll do it in my own time. You're like, yes.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. And then I've I've gone on to train her in like everything. Like she's a really good copywriter and really good at marketing and launches and all this stuff now. And they're all skills that she didn't have when she began. So I always be like, just put your name forward anyway. And there's all this research that backs it up, that like women won't apply for stuff if they don't have like 80% at least of all the skills required, whereas men will put themselves forward for like jobs where they've got maybe 40% of the skills for, which leads me on to my second point, is that the comparisonitis, the self-worth stuff, that always seems to come up far, far, far more often for women and non-binary people than it does for men, especially straight white men. And so what we can tell from that is that that kind of imposter syndrome is not an innate, kind of nature given, God given requirement of our souls. And instead it comes from external forces. It comes from the patriarchy, comes from white supremacy, comes from all the invented bullshit. And so knowing that a mammal is not out there struggling with self-worth and is just being its badass self out there, like I always talk about, like, I'm a motherfucking zebra. A zebra is not out there going, I just wish a stripe was different for me. And then I'd be worthy. Like if my stripes were just different. Like a zebra's not. A zebra's just like, I am a motherfucking zebra. Look at me eat grass in the sun. I am so good at this. And so that's how I try and behave. I try and behave like a zebra, or a straight white man, just thinks that, fuck yeah, I'll give it a go.
Yeah. I love that. This having this podcast has actually done that for me. I feel like I came out of the spiritual closet of where, I felt like in the corporate world I was trying to fit in, and then but I wasn't ever really truly fitting in. Maybe I wasn't as loud and out there as you are, right?
I don't relate to that at all.
But really just everybody knowing that I was already different, right? I was the sensitive one, or even recently in my day job, I had an experience with a leader who came in, and I could clearly tell he was having a rough day, and he ended up, having a really rough day in that meeting. And, I decided, nope, this is never going to go through that type of meeting again. And realizing that, I don't have to put up with that in my 50s. I get to decide what I do. And so this podcast has actually given me, like, I reached out to you.
You
Damn. And you
did it.
said yes.
You did it.
Oh my God, I did it. I was like, in so many ways, I was like, oh my God. Like, and Zeta was amazing, and she was just, so I thought to myself, wow, you not only have you climbed through your own stuff in life, but you are reaching back and you are helping others with, the material that you have, all of your, I mean, I've never seen so many freebies on somebody's website.
Yeah.
I really haven't. I mean, and they're so creative. And when I listen to your podcast, you're talking about your goals, about what you're going to create, right? Oh, some new creativity is going to come through, like the colorings, even, like there's something magical about the coloring and the expressions of, like, even how you draw yourself, where you used to have long hair
Mm.
and, I love them. They're just so, I don't know, there's just something about it, just brings out like that childhood wonder of what's actually possible. And so which leads me to this wondering about you do quote Jim Rome about, we are the 5 people that we have in our life. And I've been, the saying keeps coming up. And so I think to myself, okay, if you're new and you are working your way through, you're building through your confidence, you're doing whatever that magical part of what you are shining your light and being of service to others, is that, what if the 5 people in your world they haven't up leveled their life, and
Mm.
you are, and I know you talk about it in, I forgot which, I don't know if it was one of the episodes or if it was, oh, I think it's one of your freebies about money and manifesting, about, come learn about how, when you have the money, how you start actually having your money like work for you, and all of
Mm.
the stuff that you share in the workshop. But what if you're not quite there yet?
Mm.
How do you know, how do you find some of those people, who are, if you're aspiring to make, $500,000 or $300,000 in a year, then what if you don't even have a clue of anybody who actually makes that kind of money?
Mm. Like it's this constant kind of creation and review process of like, okay, who do I want to be around and who lights up my energy? Doesn't necessarily need to be like people who've already gotten where you want to be, but people who are driven to create something, And,
Mhm.
like I also, like, some of my dearest friends don't have businesses. Some of my dearest friends, they don't have, they're in the beginning phases of the creative journey, but it's the way in which they they've really like got their ethics and their values sorted out in their life, and they
Mhm.
live that way. And that's so exciting and refreshing to me. I don't tend to spend a huge amount of time with people who are stuck. I like hanging out with people who are moving, like who are making transformations. If they're going to complain about the same problems like 3 years in a row, I'm probably not going to spend that much time with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I've given you the answers. We have brainstormed this. We have made a plan. And now you go execute the plan, or we don't talk about this again. And like my friends, like I will outright say that to them. Like I'll say, like, I'm happy to like brainstorm with you to help you sort this out, but I want you to know I'm not going to do this twice. Like I do not say the same things twice. So you can complain. Like if you want my help to solve a problem, we talk about it once.
Oh, I love that though. But that's really holding the boundaries
Mm.
of, and really, I see that as you owning your own value.
Yeah.
Like own it. Okay, we talked it through, now own it. And and I see that with, I know I keep going back to the workbooks, right? Your shiny year, but you always provide the resources in these areas, whether
Mm.
it's life, oh, are you looking to learn or up level? You always draw the little books.
Mm.
And I know like how many books you used to do. I don't know if you did it last year, but you would have like your list of books review every year that you would send out. Like, these are the books I read. And you would give like these mini book reviews on
Yep.
these books year after year after year.
I
And I'm
still
like,
do it. I'm obsessed.
oh my God, I love that. I am like this huge, I'm a huge book lover. And I just got back to reading books that have like no value.
Oh yeah.
And right. But because you would put something in there too, because I know you like you like trashy,
Love
isn't
it.
that trashy romance, right?
Yeah, I
You
do.
write about, there's always these trashy romance about them.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what and then you have a pen name even, right? And you wrote your own.
Yeah, I wrote my own trash. It was the greatest.
Oh my God. Like, that's pretty inspirational. Like, I'm gonna write, I'm gonna write about the stuff that, yeah, there's all this great stuff about up leveling, but being true to yourself, like, yeah, I'm not hiding it. Like, because you don't hide any of that stuff. You don't hide that. No, I want to go off in my own little corner and go read this.
Yeah, big time. And I'm a massive fan. Like, I read about between 200 and 400 books a year. And I read a lot of nonfiction, but then I also read a lot of trash, and I fucking love it. And I don't read like literary kind of novels or anything like that. No, like the most basic bitch formulaic stuff under the sun. Yes, mwah, kisses, kisses forever. Like pure brain candy. Like, I need to know that there's a happy ending. Like, everyone lives happily ever after. All the issues are resolved. Like, there's nothing but a bit of sexual tension to stir things up, like that's all I'm looking for in a book. So I'm quite unabashed in my adoration of that, because I think it's enormously helpful and healing just to have something that's you're doing just for pure pleasure, because we get so roped into like, oh, I must always improve myself. Oh, fuck that. I'd rather just enjoy myself sometimes too.
Yeah. I think what I love about it so much is that last year I joined a book club online with my girlfriend who was starting hers. As I started this, she started her book club. And so now I have a book, you could get up, for it's minimal cost, right? And then she'll send me the book.
Oh,
All I have to do is read the book and talk about the book.
treat. What a treat. What a dream job.
I mean, I was like, yes, sign me up. She's like, well, you could go out and get your own books. I think most everybody probably gets their own books. And I'm like, no. And she's finding used copies that she sends to me. And, she's very conscious about, and yeah, she sends us all these cute little stickers about, tall, dark, and, like on my laptop, I have all these sexual innuendos about books. And
Yes.
I thought, oh my gosh, like, is that like the perfect book? I mean, for me, it was like this pleasure that I had put aside. And then, and I really connected that with, your trashy novels just for pleasure. Like, there's so much, it's so like, we need more pleasure in our life. I don't.
Yeah, and just joy, and just doing it for the fucking joy of it, because it'll make you a bit happy or pass some time. Fucking great. Like,
Yeah.
at the moment, I'm obsessed with this ridiculous video game called Star Stables, and you get to it's for kids. And you get to ride around on horses doing adventures and doing jumping competitions and stuff. And you can change your outfit and your horse's outfit. And me and my two daughters, we play it all together at the same time, like all of us on our horses going off on little horse adventures together. Like, fuck yeah. It's a great way to spend my life.
Does that bring back some of the joy that you talk about being raised on the cattle farm? And
It does.
And
it does.
all
Except it's less work and more joy. Like, there's no flies, there's no heat. I don't have to like round up like nasty cattle. Like, they're all just like nice cattle to round up in the Star Stables game.
Can you make your horse a unicorn?
You absolutely
Really?
can. Yeah.
Oh.
Like, you get these, like, anyway, it's a whole thing. I could talk about it for hours.
Oh, how fun. Oh, that I love that. I know I
Highly
said,
recommend the experience.
yeah, being able to jump into that. I know that one of the things that I started to do this year on my podcast was that I first started out with just trying to share spiritual modalities. And this year I opened it up to because I really want people to be able to heal themselves, reconnect with themselves, be conscious, raise the vibration of the earth. And just us coming together, we're doing that, with
Mm,
need more light in the world. And that's why the Light Up Your Worth was built about when we shine our own light in the inside, really owning our own worth, it really starts to show on the outside. And then
mm.
we co-create, manifest all that goodness into our life and creating. So you can see why it's been a fan, right? Like I'm all about I'm all about this stuff. But and so what was so oh my god, I just lost my thought. There's my second blonde moment for this hour. Oh my god.
It happens to me absolutely constantly. Like, and it's the hallmark of being a creative and a spiritual person. Like you're just following instinct, and then all of a sudden, boop,
Yeah.
goodbye.
Yeah, you're like, oh, there you go. Bye-bye. I know what it was. So I started expanding this last year to like artists who are doing or authors, sorry, who are doing like things that just kind of mesh with that, right? That are going to help us really connect with who we are, help us heal or release. I've been moving away from doing the work to let's release what no longer serves us, let go of the traumas, etc. And I've had a couple therapists on, I've had who are really more spiritually connected and understanding all of that. And I know that you've been so un, yourself with sharing like, your own mental health um life, all of the shit that comes with that.
Mm.
And I just wanted to help bring awareness to that too, that we can have these multiple parts of ourselves and not hide any of it. And
No,
so I would love if you would be willing to share any of that part of your journey as well. And then the more recent discovery of that your autism, I'm going to get stuck on the word now. Um,
autistic and ADHD.
artistic. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, for me, like the first foray was about 12 years ago when I had my first daughter and realized I was going through postnatal depression and anxiety. And it was just crippling at the time. And I remember a friend saying to me, like, you'll write about this one day. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? No, I will not. Like, I am never going to share publicly this catastrophe of my insides, like nobody is going to learn from somebody who's been so torn asunder by parenting. Um, and then as I healed and I got help and, went on this massive healing journey that included therapy and a lot of body work and rebirthing and acupuncture, all the hippie things, and most importantly, medication, because that was the one that helped most significantly. Um, as I healed, I was like, actually, I think I may be able to write about this. I might actually be able to share this, and there might be other people out there who feel the same way. And I knew it was something that I needed to write about in order to heal within myself. And so I did, and it took a long time to be able to write it. It took, I think, 3 or 4 months to be able to write the blog post that I ended up writing. And it, I had to be kind of recovered from it in order to be able to write it. I couldn't still be going through it. And then when I shared it, the response was so massive that it really affirmed to me that, oh, like I need to be able to talk about all the things because it helps people feel less alone. They don't feel like they're the only ones suffering this. And also because a lot of my audience are hippies, who tend to, really distrust Western medicine for lots of reasons, which are completely understandable because I was in the same place. They may not actually be giving themselves the support they need to get through. Like I'd talk to so many friends who are like, oh yeah, I'm really not coping, but that's right, I'll get some more bushflower essences into me, and it still wasn't moving the needle for them, but they didn't feel like they had any more tools in their tool belt. And so being able to talk about the importance of medication and about counseling, that kind of stuff, was, I feel like it was my service to offer to the world. And so from that kind of point onwards, realizing that it was a worthy and good thing to do, plus that I'd healed from writing it and sharing the story and knowing that others are out there as well, it's meant that I've been very open about my experiences with mental health since then. So I've had a couple of significant depressive episodes. I've always talked about them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also diagnosed with autism and then later ADHD. And I was very open about those things as well, about being a part of the neurodiverse crowd and what that experience has been like for me. And I guess I don't really feel like I should have any shame around it because this is how my brain was built. Like I am chemically predisposed to depression and anxiety because that is my family's legacy. Like my people, we live really long lives, have quite healthy bodies, but we do not have the correct brain chemistry. And we also know that neurodiversity is biological as well. So like nobody has shame over the fact that, they have a family history of diabetes or any other physical condition. So why would I have any shame over the way that my brain chemistry works or the way my brain is structured? It comes with its own blessings and challenges like everything else in life. And it's been enormously rewarding and healing for me to be able to share them publicly. And I'm grateful that it's brought healing and compassion and understanding to other people as well, because so many women have read my articles about things, especially neurodiversity, and gone, oh, holy shit, like I'm autistic too. And most of us aren't finding out until we're, midlife.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's this beautiful thing of, I think it's what allowed so much of your creativity to just burst through and own who you were. I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful to be able to have that vulnerability with yourself and healing. And that, I mean, dang, how many of us are on some level of spectrum of what you're sharing about yourself?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, wouldn't we all just line up and go take those jobs and never want out, knowing that you don't fit? Like, I think everybody is questioned who's been out there on their own or maybe not, or thought about it. It's like, how do they go to the same job for 40 years?
Yeah.
The same place. How do you do it for 5? I can't even do, 5's like been my limit. I think I did 7 at one place, but and I'm almost 60, right? I'm 56 and I'm like, how did you do that same job for year after year after year? Like,
yeah, I have no clue. I think I can do it in this job, but because I can change it constantly.
yeah. Well, yeah. And you just took off, like, during the summer, you had your kids, you guys moved. I mean, you were able to make what you do work around life instead of working,
Yeah, I
like
always
make
do.
life fit in through the work,
Yep.
and being able to work 10 hours a week.
Yep.
and continue your lifestyle, which reminds me of there was one of the systems. So I had a couple people, you know, in my peeps, as I like to call, and that we're asking, there was some Brenda had asked what systems you have in place to automate and scale. And I thought, well, it's on your podcast, but
Yeah, well, and you can also just like really easily, if you go to leoniedawson.com/tools, I
Mhm.
have a big page of every bit of software I use on there, and even down to what art materials I use to make things as well. So you can go there and find out all the hot goss.
Yeah, well, thanks for answering that one, because I know it's you put it out there all the time, but
Oh, it's
yeah,
fun.
yeah. And then Jennifer asked, when is she going to revive the old weekly planners she was using, the weekly planners? And she was using that when the year she hit her 6 figures, and she's a love coach. So
Oh,
I
oh,
thought,
does she mean, I'm assuming she means like the full color ones, because I do have like a black and white one out at the
mm,
moment.
mhm.
Um, I don't have any plans to do like a yearly one again, because that path I have learned is the way to insanity for me.
Yeah. And then I have another Jennifer who asked, were you immediately successful with your business, or did it take some time to ramp up?
Yeah, it absolutely took time to ramp up. I started selling things online in 2001, 2002-ish. I started blogging in 2004, and then I didn't go full time in my business until 2010. So in that time, I was working for the Australian government. As my business sort of built up along the sides, then I'd reduce 1 day a week. So I was 4 days a week for a long time, and then 3 days a week. And I didn't leave until I was 9 months pregnant with my eldest daughter. And then I just didn't go back to it after that. And so I was full time, but never managed to do full time in my business. It took a long time, but I also just kind of
Mhm.
considered it as play, because I wanted to be doing it. I loved doing it. Like, it was so much fun. Like, I don't know if there was any way of me not doing it, even though, like, you know, for many years it wasn't making that much money. Because the compulsion to create and make was so much fun, and to be able to share it, like, this is fucking joyful. What a blessing.
Yes, it is. I mean, I'm so grateful, you know, that you were able to sustain yourself through that and saw that fun and how much
Mm.
joy it brought you, because they really have brought me so much joy when I would sit down and draw and color and just access that part of myself. It almost gave me permission. And it wasn't in this, because up until then I had always done goals. You know,
Mm.
I was part of the data that you show, you know, and your pie chart of like, I always wrote goals. I always wrote them down. I looked at them, but I didn't look at them as much because they were ugly
Mm.
and just more business, you know, orientated, or but the year that I bought the first one, I wanted to make a bigger purchase, and so I used it to actually make that bigger purchase using the goals. And so that was pretty powerful, you know, that I could actually do it. And you know, I'd have this big calendar on my wall that I would write, you know, like my income goals, and you know, with all of the creativity out of it. It was just beautiful to have up on my wall, because it was fun. It was fun to be able to look at it. um and so it brought me a lot of joy. So when you were in that process, how did you help yourself stay, like, sustain yourself, I guess? How did you sustain yourself to keep focused on it? Because you're already, you know, going to that job, you got travel time, and you
Mm.
know, I mean, probably earlier on, you know, versus as you got, obviously when you're 9 months pregnant, you're like, hell's no, I'm not going back. It's it's gonna work.
Yeah. You know, like, I mean, there was definitely like, there was ebbs and flows to all of it. But really, like, it was for the joy of it. It was like, this made me so thrilled and so happy. And I remember, like, even in high school, I sent myself off to boarding school for the last 2 years. And I loved my time at boarding school. I was in a dorm with 20 other girls. I was 17. And I was looking after the 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds. So there was like, 17 year eights and then a couple of year 12s to look after them. And so I was kind of like being big sis to this huge herd of children. And I loved it. And I loved as well because I love, like, 13-year-olds are so cool. Like, they're just, nerdy and excitable, and like, that's me all over. And I used to write in my art journal and draw and paint and collage, and then I would send it around the dorm and everybody would read my diary, right? Like, it was just this traveling art journal. And then, like, when I'd want to go making it, I'd have to go hunt around and see who was reading it. And like, other kids would get really inspired and start doing their art journals, and then I'd get to read their art journals. And it was just so inspiring and so much fun. And so for me, like, creativity has always been intrinsically linked with sharing. And so the idea that I could do that and blog and share that thing with the world without me necessarily having to, like, go track it down the art journal later, I thought it was the coolest invention ever. Like, this is the greatest thing ever. And so that was, like, super exciting. Like, I don't know if I necessarily needed to be motivated, because I was already motivated by the act of doing. It was so much fucking fun. And I also remember, like, going into work one day and one of the assistants saying to me, "What happened, Leonie? Like, what happened last night?" And I was like, I don't know. I watched Big Brother. Like, why? And she's like, you didn't write your blog. And it's been my thing now, is like, I get into work and I power up my computer. I turn on and see, like, oh, what's Leonie made today? Like, what has she blogged about? And there's nothing. Like, there's thanks for no inspiration for today. And I was like, holy shit, somebody's actually reading my thing and it's actually a part of their day. That is mind-blowing to me. And that was just so exciting. So nobody can keep me away from that kind of thrill.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, shouldn't we all have that kind of joy in finding that joy? Oh
yeah.
I feel so blessed that I've been able to connect not only with your work and in person. It's been, like a dream come true talking with you, and that I've been in your orbit on my little unicorn. And I feel so blessed that, somebody who has put so much joy out to the world and stayed so true to herself through all of this, all the shit storms that have happened. And especially the last couple of years, it's been really challenging for so many people. And for you to continue to, figure out and navigate through your own life and then share that with all of us. And I'm so happy that you guys are in your new home now, and something more connected as your mermaids get to that next stage in their life. And it's really powerful. I was going to plug in your the name of your podcast, because you're not categorized, I think is the name of it.
It's right. Leonie Dawson refuses to be
categorized. Yeah. And then just even how you say it, it's like, and I thought, oh, I don't want to be categorized. I love, it's just so fitting how you're able to come up with the words and your style of copywriting. I have to tell you, every time I read it, it really touches me. It's like you really have been able to reach in and feel how we feel. And that really is such a gift.
Well, I've been there. Gift. I've been there. I've struggled with that shit, and I love learning and I love sharing whatever I learn along. I love that, like, in life, I get to like struggle with something, work with what's happening, try and work it out, see what resources help, and then share that story along, like, okay, here's what helped me get through that bullshit, or even just like offering up my story. It's such a blessing.
Yeah. And you've been able to embrace, or really not embrace, and really encourage all of the people that you've coached when you used to do more like one-on-one stuff, and then some of the bigger programs that you had, and you still leave like all of these programs that are so affordable for people to be able to start out,
Mm,
and really encouraging people to her ladies non-binary to really embrace that part of themselves. So thank
mm,
you for that gift to all of us, to help everybody really step into their own light and
mm.
shine their own worth. And so
Thank you,
um
my love.
it's such a pleasure. I hate to go, but I know that you have a very busy schedule, and I could just keep rambling on about all kinds of wonderful things, that I just adore about you. And I'm just so I just feel so blessed. So thank you for joining me. And oh, and just give a shout out to your website and how people can reach you too.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm not on social media, obviously, but you can find me at leoniedawson.com, Leonie Dawson.com. And I have a page there called Free Shit, and it's just a page of free shit. It says what it does, what it says on the box.
Yeah.
I like making stuff. I like giving it away for free. You can find it all there, from meditations to 300-page coloring books to little workshops and worksheets and resources and checklists and all the fucking things.
Yeah, and it's a whole page, guys. Like you can just go through everything. So we're going to include, of course, include that in all of the show notes and all the stuff. And thank you.
Oh,
Thank
bless
you
you. Thank you,
again.
Debbie. Bless you, you
Thank you.
beautiful human.
Oh, thank you.